Oh, hello, it is that time again. It is live stream number 28, but it's technically not that time again, and this is going to cause some confusion, not least for me. In England, we've just gone to, is it daylight savings? Some British summertime? Basically, we lost an hour last night, so it is on my clock 7:30 GMT, but actually, technically, it's 6:30 because we lost an hour, which means it's a bit lighter. So it's kind of light outside as well, actually, which is nice, means summer's coming. But for this point forward until October, when they go back again, this will be the time that I'll be trying to do Sunday live streams. So it's still 7:30 GMT. I put a fairly cryptic post out on the channel on YouTube earlier on today, because as usual I come and have a look at my notes from whatever I've been doing in the week, and I've not done much on it this week at all, but some of those notes, when I read them back, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And I had one of them a moment ago when I put that post on about half an hour ago. So I've just been trying to decipher what the hell I meant by that, and I'm gonna go through that now and crack on with a few different things. It's a puzzle chain that happens in Act 2. I'll flick over to my screen now. Let's have a look at that. So here we are in my big document. If it's the first time you've seen one of these, this has got the puzzles, the chains, the story, chain links and things. I use something called FigJam. It's a free version of Figma, basically. And this is where I do a lot of the planning. And this was the note in particular. Need a proper variable switch for the vintage sample search. Otherwise, because I can't spell clearly, box hotspots will disappear when false. And I was like, what the hell does that mean? I have worked out what it meant. I'll discuss that in a moment. But these are some of the things I'm going to work on tonight. This is a set of, I suppose, steps that happen after you've had a conversation with the weird guy who comes in taking his goldfish for a walk. This should step through where he has asked you to, if you've got one of these old vintage carpet samples, and you head off to go and look for them in the storeroom. And there's one little box here in my puzzle chain which basically says grab the old sample. There's actually loads of stuff that goes on in that, and then we move on to a couple of other bits where once you've got the sample you go back and the customer's gone, and his fishbowl has been tipped onto the laminate flooring. The phone then rings back in the office, which forces you to go back in the office. You then notice that the water cooler has leaked, because it mentions it earlier on that there's a fault with the water cooler, and there's a set of footprints that lead back into the storeroom. And then there's a bit that reveals one of the major kind of twists in the game. So these are all going to require some things to be done, which I'm going to try and hit these tonight. So I'm just going to make a little list of what I'm actually going to try and do for each of these, and then I'll come to explain what the hell all that means. So for this we're going to need to do the fish and water on laminate. So we need to draw some new pixel art for the shop background. The phone ringing in the office, I forgot to create a phone, so we need to draw a phone, put it on the desk. The water cooler, we're going to need to draw the leak and footprint. That's all going to need to be drawn, so a few bits of drawing to do, and then the kind of logic to step through these. Don't know if I'm going to get all of that done in 2 hours, but we're going to give it a decent shot. So I'll start with this, just explaining what the hell I meant there. At the end of the last live stream, let's get Unity back up. That's not Unity, that's Unity Hub. That's Unity. At the end of the last live stream, I think I left making loads of boxes for this room. And this is so that when you come to the storeroom, let me actually just go back to the office. Let's save that. when you come to the storeroom and you are looking for that vintage sample, what I basically had was a Boolean, like vintage sample true or false, as in, are you searching for it as a player? And that wasn't going to be enough. I actually needed 3 states to that variable, so my cryptic note that said need a proper variable switch, as in a pop-up variable that you can do switching for different states, rather than the thing that I had, which was just a true or false, because all of the boxes in the, if I just go, oh, I can't go full screen with that now, I don't think, can I? Move space, shift and space, space and shift, control and space, no. Can't make that full screen. When you're going to here for the first time, I have changed the variable now, this Act 2 vintage search, to a pop-up variable. You can probably just see down the bottom there. So it's got 3 states, like not started, as in the player isn't aware of that puzzle. So that's how it remains until you speak to the guy. Searching, where you're actually searching for the sample, and then found once you've got it. And by having 3 values, it means that the boxes, when I first come in, it says, right, this isn't going to be easy, there's a load of boxes in here. Hopefully they're all well labelled. If you haven't already turned the light on, then they all become available. So I'd drawn around all of these different boxes that you can see, because at the start of the game, these aren't all clickable. But for this kind of puzzle, suddenly you've got to kind of, you're searching for these samples. So there's loads of different boxes. And I think perhaps after the live stream, it was maybe the next day, I went through and added some of the dialogue for these. So every one of them has got something now. Box simply says promotional leaflets on it. Small boxes, a pair of small boxes, both cleaning wipes. Not what I'm after right now. So he's going through all of these things. And basically, oh, I haven't written one for that. I need to check that one out. These are used for the light bulb puzzle, but these are all in a state. I maybe need to change that where they're talking about the light bulbs. It's because I haven't got the light bulbs in my inventory, actually. If they were in my inventory, it would be saying something about samples. So that's what all of that was about, so that these boxes actually remain after this puzzle. And if you go back to them and click them, he'll still talk about them. They won't just suddenly disappear. Because when you first walk into this room, when it runs the scene start thing, we've now got a switch down here. Oh, no, sorry. Go back to that room. Storeroom. On the scene start for this one, we've now got this switch. So before they're searching for the sample, it hides all the extra boxes. During the search, it makes them visible, or puts them in on the screen using teleport. And he says that, right, this isn't going to be easy. And if you've got the sample, it remains, all the boxes remain on, but it doesn't say this is going to be difficult to find them because he's already found them. So that's enabled me to set up these 3 different states for the variables, so that all of those boxes can still be available. So what I need to do now is a couple of bits of drawing in Sprite to complete that puzzle chain, and then hook up some of the things that are going to happen. So once you've got the old sample, you then return to the shop and find that the customer's gone. So I think I'm going to set that up. What I have done in here, when you actually find in the vintage boxes, when you find the old sample, this is the action that does all of that. He bends down and picks it up. That's a bizarre coincidence. He ends up finding exactly the sample that he's looking for, almost as if it was planned to be that way. And you end up with this vintage sample in your inventory. And because that vintage sample is in the inventory, we're going to use that to check when we go back into the shop. I'm talking about this as if I know exactly how this is going to work out, but it probably won't. So it's in Act 2, so it's my Act 2 version of the shop. when you come walking back into here, it's this guy with the fish in the tank that has been asking you to find this vintage sample, and when you come back he's gone, but his fish tank is smashed on the laminate here, and there's going to be a pool of water and what looks like a dead fish, but there was no animals harmed in the making of this game, and it turns out to be the orange bit from inside a Jaffa cake, because this guy and the group of people that he represents all like tea and biscuits, and they have a great selection of biscuits in the place that they meet, which you find out later on, one of which is Jaffa cakes. So the thing that looks like a goldfish is actually just the orange jelly out of the inside of a Jaffa cake, because as I've said before, this is a ridiculous game. So we need to draw that pixel art, and we need to make sure when you come walking in this door, if you've got the vintage sample and you're at a certain point through the puzzles, then we'll show the fish on the floor and things like that. So we need to set that up. So we've got a way that I trigger the conversation with the fish guy is I use this CS, I make variables called CS, which is cutscene, so cutscene trigger, and we're gonna create a new one, I think, which is a cutscene trigger for the fish on the floor, and then we can set up some different actions and things like that. So first things first, I think we'll go and create that thing, and we'll call it CS trig. I'll put fish on floor, because then that makes sense as to what it is. And the initial value is false. We're going to set it to true just after we've got the vintage sample. Yeah, I might not need to check that you've got the vintage sample, actually. I might just set this to true when it happens. So we're going to take a copy of that and just change, this is CS trigger fish on floor. It's kind of nice that Adventure Creator always puts the newest created variable at the bottom, because you can then just, it's always at the bottom of the massive list. But I was arranging them at one point, so all the CS trig ones were at the top, but it doesn't particularly matter, just trying to keep it relatively clean. When you're doing more than one thing at the same, like more than one action chain at the same time, it's worth setting up one of these action list run in parallel, and then you can set up as many as these as you like. So it'll check for that, and it'll check for this at the same time. And if it's met, if it's true, then we're going to start a cutscene, and it's going to be the same action as that. Actually, we probably need both of these. Let's just copy them too and paste them there. So we're going to run a cutscene. I'm going to have to create a new cutscene here, because that's running the fish guy talking cutscene. So I'm just going to set that to none. I'm going to create a new cutscene in there. Scene, cutscene, and we're going to call it, oops, give it a name first. CS fish on floor. And that's going to be where we're going to do all the conversation things related to that. So we want to run that cutscene here, CS fish on floor. And we also want to hide the fish guy so he's not there anymore. And this is exactly what that one does. It takes NPC fish guy and teleports him to off screen. There's a little marker off screen. It just saves hiding his hotspot and everything. See that little marker there off screen? He gets teleported over there so he can't be seen. So when we come into here, that's what should happen. Before I forget to do it, what I should do is go back to the storeroom, and on that old samples one, when you've picked it up, not only should we set the vintage search to found, as I've done there, we also want to change that new variable we just created we want to set CS trig fish on floor to true, and that means we can check that when you come back through the door of the shop. Just give that a save. Go back to the shop floor, and then when you enter, that's what's being checked here. So it should be true as you come walking in here. Once we've done the cutscene, we'll set it to false, so next time you come walking in here, it doesn't get triggered. All of those things, you've got to kind of store all these things in your head, which isn't easy when you're not doing it so often. This memory of some of the variables that you set up, I end up doing different ways each time, but that'll be the same for everyone else who isn't doing this full time. Let's start this scene. There's probably some other cutscene trigger set up at the moment, actually. It might be, I don't know, we're all right. This little dripping floor thing as well, this should be fixed by this point in the game. So it's just, again, variables haven't been done. At some point, my intention is to kind of do like an Act 1 playthrough on one of the live streams. Whilst it's not super exciting, it's kind of the most important bit of game dev, especially solo game dev, is bug testing. So it'll be a matter of kind of playing through Act 1 and then literally, like in a spreadsheet, just making a note of all of the bugs that I see in that run through, like what room they're happening in, a brief description of what they are, and then I can come through and fix them in my own time. But that will be maybe in a couple of weeks. I'll aim to get all the Act 1 stuff in a state where I can actually do like a full run through of Act 1. So this fish that's going to appear here, he's going to come walking in and then realise the customer's not there. So I want him to kind of walk in and end up somewhere like this, because that's where the customer was before. So we'll probably put a marker down there, and then we can tell that we've triggered the cutscene and get him to walk to there. So let's create a marker for him. I'm surprised that, he talks to him with his back to us, actually. So let's definitely create a new marker. Marker 2D. Just call that fish floor. Actually, no, I won't call it that because I'm going to need one of them when you go and look at the fish. So CS fish, and the cutscene fish. Let's call it that. Let's go and find it. Where is it? So when it come walking out the door, walk to that, stand somewhere that the player can see him. Yeah, maybe there, because then he can just turn to the left and look at the fish. So let's spin that so he's facing down. And then let's go to that cutscene that we created. And the very first thing we want to do is get the player to, that's not that, is it? What is it? Object. I can't, now you get the player to walk to a point. This is where I need people on the live stream. And my fear tonight was, of course, this is for people in Europe happening an hour before it would normally be. So I'm not going to get any help from live chat tonight, which is a shame. On that note, actually, last Sunday was the most people I've ever had in a live stream, which was fantastic. And we're not talking big numbers, but I think, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was at one point about 5 people all chatting on the live stream, which was lovely for me, and hopefully good for all the community as well, because people were throwing ideas in and asking questions and stuff, and that was really good. So thank you for all that. Right, try and remember how I send a character. I'm sure it would player. Nope. Character. There we go. Move to point. So player character, the marker to reach is the one we just did. Cutscene fish. He's going to pathfind, he's going to walk, going to wait till he finishes, and we're going to copy the marker angle so he faces down. So that should all be fine. And then we're going to do a little look about, like he's looking round for him. So again, character, face direction, affect the player. Actually, what we might do is just put a little delay in there, a little half-second delay. And then he's going to face left. And then we're going to have a little second delay. And he's going to face right. But wait till finish on both of them as well. So he's going to go left, wait for a second, right, wait for a second, and then he's going to face the front. So we'll have these two, copy them, paste them in there. So wait, face down, and then he's going to talk. So, oh, sorry, dialogue, player line. Where's he gone? Question mark. That's weird. And then we're going to have him face left towards the fish. So we'll copy them. A little delay after that. He's going to face left. And then a bit of dialogue. What the? Exclamation mark. Oops. He's smashed his fishbowl on the laminate. I've forgotten the name of the fish now. Poor Mr. What was he called? Completely forgotten what the fish was called. What we need to do is find this conversation. This is a fish guy conversation. Mr. Chips, that was it. My goldfish here, Mr. Chips, had an unfortunate, so he's lying about the goldfish because it's oh, Mr. Chips. And then I think we're going to have him bend down to look at Mr. Chips, and then he's going to realise that he's actually the orange jelly from inside a Jaffa cake. And then this is getting very weird, but we'll do, I think, is it crap? I've forgotten the animation name of the thing, so let's find getting a lot, to be honest. I've got too many things called Clive for this to be a sensible search. I'm basically needing to look at his animator controller. So just so I can see the name of, there we go, player Clive controller, that's what I was looking for. Because these are all the animations that Clive can do. So he can do like a reach, up, right, left, a bend, down and up, a kneel, and I don't know if I've got a kneel to the side actually. So what we might do is have him walk across, so he's in front of it and then crouch down. That might be better. So he kind of kneels whilst facing up. So it says, "Poor Mr. Chips, ... Then he's going to walk. So character, move to point is player. We're going to put another marker in. So let's just slide that out of the way a sec. Grab this, duplicate it. Mr. Chips. And facing upwards. Go. Bring action back on. So it's going to go to Mr. Chips. Going to walk there, path find. We're going to wait till he finishes. We're going to copy the angle after, so he's facing upwards. I'm just going to click auto arrange. I don't often click auto arrange. I just know already that I'm halfway down the page. There you go. It does it in landscape. Not my favourite, to be honest, but let's just crack on with it. So he's going to walk to there, path find. He's then going to do a crouch. So we're going to do character, animate, is player, play custom. We're going to do crouch. So he crouches down. I'll put the thing in because I always want to make sure he's facing that way. It's going to be facing up anyway. It's going to do the crouch. We're going to wait until he finishes. Now my crouch animation, I think this is maybe why I created a kneel and a stand. So kneel, I think it doesn't loop. It's not like a crouch and then stand back up. He just stays down. So it might be kneel that I want actually. So let's just put kneel. And he'll stay where he is. I'm not going to put return to idle because I don't want it to swap out to the idle animation. And while he's crouched, and this is one of the things, the crouch animation doesn't have a talk animation, so I don't have his like head bobbing while he's crouched. So that might be a small problem, but I just want to complete this set of actions really. So then we're going to do while he's crouched. So I'll just put a little note there. If you've not seen this before, by the little cog, I guess it is, or toggle comment. This should be spoken whilst he's crouched, but I don't have a crouch speak animation yet. So just a little note for myself there. Just when you thought this couldn't get any stranger, it turns out Mr. Chips isn't a fish after all. And then I think we'll have him stand up, turn round, and then do the next bit facing the camera. So You can see there's quite a lot of independent actions in this, but it's a cutscene, so I'm just trying to use all the animation I've already done and use the tools to speed all of this bit up. So we want him to stand up, so that's going to be a bit of animation on the character. It's the player. We're going to play one that's called stand_u. I've got like this sneaking suspicion that I set these up to do exactly this, and then I haven't set them up properly. We'll work that out in a minute. But once he's stood up, we then want him to change direction. So player, no, I always do that. Character, face direction, affect the player. I want to face down relative to the camera. Wait until finish. And on this one, once he's played this, wait until finish. We want to do return to idle, otherwise the idle won't. He won't be in a position to talk when he comes and faces forward, because I've learnt this on other live streams when it hasn't worked. And then the dialogue he's going to deliver when he's facing the camera is it's fake fish. And it seems to be made from the orange jelly, or made out of the orange jelly from inside a Jaffa cake. I recognise that smell anywhere. What in the world is going on? Smell going right? Right, so I've got a bit of dialogue there. I'll probably have to tighten some of this dialogue up, but I just want to see that it's all triggering. And then at this point is when the phone's going to ring, which kind of forces the player to go back into the office. So all this is a cutscene where you don't have control, which is actually a good point. It should really have the letterbox appear at the start of here. So what we want to do is go menu. Oh, actually, did I create an action list that I could run? No, I didn't. Okay, so what we'll do instead is just do menu, turn on a menu, and it's what I've got in here in the menus thing is something called letterbox, lowercase l, and it's just the black bars at the top, just to let the player know that they're in a cutscene. I'm sure I'd set up an action that turns the letterbox on and turns off mouse control and a couple of other things for cutscenes, but I don't know. Let's just do it like that for now. And let's just see if that's all going to work. So there's quite a lot of different actions there. I obviously haven't drawn the fish yet. But when I click play, oh, the dog's having a bath. About usual. When I click play on here, we haven't set it yet, have we? So the variable fish on floor trigger, we're going to set it to true, so that it's as if you just walked in the door, and that is set. So hopefully we won't see this guy. We'll see all of that play out. So he walks over, looks left, looks right. Where's he gone? User's got a click. That's weird. And I always set that up. I mean, personal preference really, but I know it looks weird when someone keeps talking like that, when it's a small sentence. But I personally much prefer that, because then the user's in control of having read it. Everybody reads at different speeds, and whilst a venture creator can time based on the number of characters in a sentence, like how long it's on screen for, I just find if I'm playing a point and click game, I want to click to advance. So you click and it advances. And what the? And the fish is going to be on there. He's smashed his fish bowl on the laminate. Oh, Mr. Chips. And he walks over, bends down. Just when you thought it couldn't get any stranger. So you can see his head isn't bobbing because I don't have a talking animation for him. Spelling mistake, no big surprise. Just when you thought this couldn't get any stranger, it turns out Mr. Chips isn't a fish after all. Turns up, turns around. It's a fake fish. And it seems to be made out of the orange jelly from inside a Jaffa cake. I recognise that smell anywhere. What is in the world is going on? So that's done. You can see the black bars, by the way, the letterbox came in before that. That's the other thing that should happen during a cutscene, actually, is that inventory should be hidden. So I do need to set up just like a template action that you can run whenever you want a cutscene, which hides the inventory, brings this in, and yeah, does a few things, I think, and then I can just adjust that one. So user's got control again now, and there's going to be some other things that go wrong here. He's going to trigger something there, yeah, just thinking that. And there's a trigger still on the floor here that's triggering stuff. So I need to, that all worked. I was like quite surprised that the whole set of actions worked. So the next thing that's going to happen is the phone's going to ring. So I think what we'll do, I'm going to create, so I can have some text that is the phone. It sounds weird. What you should do, if you're wanting on-screen text, like narration from a character or something, then I find it best, you can use like, there is something, I've forgotten what it's called now, like background text or something like that it's called. But I think my preference is to create an on-player character for anything that makes a noise. So I think I did it for the door. So I think the door is an NPC. Yeah, there you go, NPC door. And it's so that you can associate text with it. So like the screech of the door, like screech in text, comes from an NPC called the door. I'm going to do exactly the same thing for the phone, because the phone's coming, like it's from this door that you're hearing it. So we're going to create a new NPC, and again, something which I don't often do. So it's on one of the editors, I think, the character wizard. So character wizard, there, yeah, it's it here. So select the type of character you want to generate. So it's an NPC. I think you have to create, yeah, I got to create a game object first. So let's just create a new empty game object. Don't want it in there really. Just call it NPC phone. And hopefully, if I'm thinking this through correctly, I'll be able to use the same NPC in a different room. So when you come walking in the office, it'll still be ringing. But we'll see. Let's, so NPC phone is the base object. The character's name is going to be NPC phone. I'm going to configure him. It's not going to need any animation. It doesn't need a collider. It doesn't need all these states. It's just holding the information for the NPC. The other thing you can do, because it's got this NPC set of options on it, you can set the text color for that NPC here, so it can be independent and different from the like the background text you can use. So given I want it to kind of show up quite brightly, I think I might have it as like a real bright blue. Oh great, it's going to kind of sit here, so it needs to contrast nicely with all of that. We'll put it like that for now, like a cyan kind of colour. I don't think we need to set anything else. It's not going to walk about. Yeah, I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to change any of it. Doesn't need any facing directions. So let's take that NPC, go and find it. It's quite a big sprite. we're not going to have a hotspot for it or anything, so we can probably delete. We go into the MPC phone, it'll have a box collider on it, so we don't need that. It'll have a hotspot on it, so you can talk to it, and we don't need that. So actually I might just remove, I won't remove them for now, just in case that causes an error, but they're certainly not needed. That's an audio source for footsteps if it's a character that's walking about, but again, not necessary in this case. The hotspot's annoying me. You can just turn off that draw yellow cube, but it might be an idea actually, just because it's starting to get a lot of mess around here. As in, there's a lot of stuff in the way whilst I'm trying to navigate this scene, so turn them both off. So what we want to do is have that NPC talk at this point. So we're still in this cutscene, which is getting quite long. Arrange it again. I prefer things to go down the page, so I'm not scrolling across so much, but it doesn't really matter. What in the world is going on? So the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to get some dialogue, we're going to play speech, and we're going to play it from NPC phone. The reason it hasn't got a blue cube is just a Unity thing. I haven't made it into a, what's it called? Prefab. If I make it into a prefab, then it means all of the characteristics of that NPC can be reused in another scene just as a prefab, so it is handy. Actually, I'll do that first. Let's just move that out the way a second. Where is he? He, there, phone, NPC phone, and just drag it into my folder structure. Thing is, I can't remember where I've been putting, oh, my prefabs. That seems like a sensible thing. Oh yeah, there's the other NPCs. NPC phone, just drop it into my prefabs. It goes blue, so it's now a prefab to be reused. Just give that a quick save. And then just in here, you can see it's gone blue there. NPC. Hello, good evening, Chris. How are you doing? I got quite deep into a long cutscene. You joined me about 15 steps into it. I hope you're well. I hope things are going all right. Right, so the text that the phone's going to say is ring, something like that. We're going to just see where it appears. What I'm going to do, so I don't have to run through all of the steps of that, it's going to start, and then we're just going to, I'm going to drag this and jump to here where it comes down. So I'm just going to drag that out to there so we don't have to go through all of these steps, so we can just check this bit of it. So let's just hit play. You should still come into the room. It's fake fish. It's made out of orange jelly. I recognise that smell anywhere. What in the world's going on? And then bring, so you can see that is coming from the door. Now, Clive's going to be stood over there actually. Let's just stop that and test it not from there. Let's test it from once he's got to that position. So he walks to that position, which is pretty much where he goes and looks at the fish, so it's not far off. So let's just skip down to there. Let's try that again. It's a fake fish. It seems to be made out of the orange. I recognise that smell anywhere. What in the world is going on? So yeah, we can see that. I'll put a sound effect on as well. I might just move it all across a bit so that the G maybe comes out here, just under the staff only bit. So what we can do is pause it I'm not sure if this works actually. Drag it down and across, go back to game, unpause it. Oh, it does, brilliant, yeah. So I've made it look like I knew what I was doing there. But yeah, in these, if you're trying to get a bit of text to be in exactly the right place, at runtime you can pause it, and I'm moving the MPC that's generating that text just down across a bit, unpause it, and I just want it a little bit lower than that, I think. Oh no, that's fine like that actually. Yeah, I might even put just a couple of little dashes on it. So before I click stop, because I nearly did it then, now I've moved that MPC, I want to copy the transform while we're still in play mode. So copy world transform, stop, and then paste world transform, so it's in the right position now. And then I'm going to add to it, just so it kind of like almost directs where it's coming from, like that. Just some little dashes. So let's just put this full screen so I can get a sense of how it all fits. What's going on? Yeah. Now I want to move it a little bit further over, of course. No, I'll just move I'll remove two of the dots. So shift it over a little bit further. It's because I want to make sure that the player sees it from where the character's stood and understands where it's coming from. So another good way to make people look is have the character look in the same direction. So it goes bring. I'm going to have it plain background because I don't want the user to have to click to move this bit on. So it's going to play in the background. We're going to wait for a second. Actually, I wonder if this will it go off automatically, as in disappear? Let's find out. So we're going to wait for a second, and then I'm going to do it again. No, I'm going to make Clive face it. So we'll do a character face direction, affect the player, face right. Wait until he's finished facing right, and then we're going to ring it again. So I'm going to duplicate. Oh god, it goes right to the top. It's always better to copy and paste than duplicate. And then we'll do. I didn't mean to delete all that. It's another little bug when you. Just do that, so it just looks a bit different. Clive's going to say dialogue. Now the phone's ringing. Typically, Tyler's out at lunch. I need to add that in as well, actually. I think I put it on I remember writing this note now. Oh yeah, after Fish Guy chat, Tyler lunchtime. Yeah, so there's a line there for Tyler. I've got to have him walk out before this bit happens because it's important that he's not in the shop for a part of the story later. So I need to make sure I remember to do that. So now the phone's ringing, and typically Tyler's out at lunch. I'd better go and get that. And I think I'm going to trust the player to go in and get that. It might mean actually me setting something up so that it keeps ringing. That might be a fun little challenge, because typically, you know, most most players are going to then walk off to that door to get the phone because they want the story to move along. But if they decide to walk off into the shop and start looking at things, you kind of don't want them to. You want them to go the other way. And short of taking the control, actually no, maybe we take the control off them because we're kind of in a cutscene anyway. We have them walk through the door and it changes to the office, and then we'll see the phone ringing, and then they will have to click it to go over to it. This is always one of my problems with things like this story-driven narrative stuff like this. I end up sometimes doing too much in the cutscenes, and you want to give people control for a bit, but let's take control off them for the whole of the cutscene. Let's just see how it feels. So let's just send him to the other room. So what we want to do in that case is do a character, move to point, it is the player, the marker we want to reach is that green one there, which I don't know what it's called, exit to office. There you go. So exit to office, he's going to walk there, path find, we're going to wait till he finishes. We're going to copy the marker angle, and then we're going to change scenes. So we're going to do a scene switch, and we're going to do it by name, and we're going to go to the office. Not the scene. You need to get the name exactly right. So we need to go build profiles and just check what it's called. Yeah, scene underscore office, all lowercase. Scene underscore office. So that should work. Let's just check that that's all working. Because I think that bring's gonna, like the bring of the phone is gonna stay on screen. It's a fake fish, seems to be out inside. Recognize that smell anywhere. What in the world is going on? Bring. Oh yeah, so it did change. Bring. Yeah, so I could put it in there actually running parallel. Yeah, so I need to put a phone on this desk somewhere. I haven't drawn it. I said at the start of the live stream I need to put a telephone on here. And that's where I was going to put it. When I opened Sprite earlier before the live stream, I was like, oh, perfect, there's a space for this, forgetting completely that I put a mug on there. So the phone's going to have to sit somewhere on this desk. I think it's the most sensible place for it to be. So yeah, it's probably going to sit just there. We'll squeeze it in. And because it's ringing, I might have it moving about or something, or flashing with the bring in the same colour above it, so that you come over and click it, or it just automatically goes over and picks it up, one of the two. So that bring bit, let's just go back to the cutscene. I think we'll ring. So we do two brings there. I think we're going to do a run in parallel. So run in parallel, two outputs. One of them's going to do this bit, because depending on how quickly the player clicks. Oh, what have I done there? Depending on how quickly the player clicks is how quickly it skips through these lines of dialogue. So whilst the player is skipping through them, what I'm going to do is do these rings again. So it's going to do a bring, and then we're going to wait a second. Wait for 1 second. Maybe 2 seconds. Actually, I'm just trying to think of the effect of this. Try to do something, paste that in there. I'm wondering if you did brie. Like that. Brie. And then got the second between it, or 2 seconds between it, and it's like brie, 1 second between it. Let's have a look to see how that looks. And then just like have this just loop around, and then it waits a second, or waits 2 seconds, and then goes back around. So that'll just like be playing in a loop while we're waiting for the player to click, I think. Let's see what that looks like. Possibly a bit weird. Let's find out. So, what in the world is going on? Bring. Kind of needs to be facing from the other side, doesn't it? But it's got the effect that I wanted, so it just needs a bigger gap between them. So it needs to be longer than 2 seconds between them. And I think what I'll do instead, it doesn't quite look like I want it to. I think what the effect I wanted was like it's just adding the ing to the end of it. So it would go, we got 3 of them, so 3 of them, so brie. Copy that, paste it into there, and then just finish off the ing like that. So then it looks like it's going bring, and pause for like 4 seconds. What I want to do as well is I just want to skip some of this, more of this dialogue, so I don't have to keep clicking it. There's not much I can do actually. Thanks Xperpleek for following the channel on Twitch. I don't say hello to people on Twitch very often, mainly because there aren't usually many people on Twitch, but I appreciate the follow. Thanks for that. What I'm trying to do here is just not have to keep clicking through this thing every time. So what I'm going to do is copy it. This is just purely for testing, to make testing faster. I'm going to put "it's a fake fish," have that as the thing, remove it from there. I'm just going to leapfrog that for now. So it just says "it's a fake fish," and then does the ring, just for testing really, and I'll hook it back up. Well, I'll probably forget to hook it back up, to be totally honest. Let's try that out then, see if that looks better. So it comes in, it's a fake fish, ring. So it's doing bring. Yeah, so that's kind of what I was expecting. Bring. Yeah, and I'll get the sound effect and stuff as well. I mean, just the thought of all the sound effects for this and music. I was thinking actually, I do write some music myself. You'll probably see the piano in the corner, and there's various other instruments about. But I'm debating at the moment whether to write an original soundtrack for it in the kind of like retro kind of chiptune 8-bit kind of way, or whether to use just some royalty-free music. In quite a lot of my other games, it's royalty-free stuff from Incomputech, a guy called Kevin MacLeod, whose music's on so many TV adverts and so many indie games and stuff, because he gives his stuff away free, Creative Commons, so you can just, so long as you credit him. And the music's fantastic, so many different genres and things. And I've heard ones on there that I've already kind of earmarked for this, but I'm wondering whether I write my own music for it as well. It just gives myself more work to do. Oh, good evening there, Kyle, as well. Nice to see you. Been a while. Anyway, this phone's ringing. We should probably get it. Better go get that. I wonder what happens when he leaves. Does it continue ringing? What I need to do is, as he comes through here, I need to disable the cutscene trigger, because when you walk back in there, it'll trigger again. Yeah, this is kind of why I don't want to give the user control, because even if a player accidentally clicked that and went back in there, we could turn off the cutscene trigger, but the phone then would have to be ringing and things like that. So I think we just keep it all a cutscene. Yeah, because I'm thinking ahead to the next step. So in this kind of chain, he comes in, finds a fish and water on the laminate, the phone rings, you walk back, and the phone stops just as you approach it. And then he notices the water cooler leak. And at that point is when I want to give the player control again, so they can walk over to the water cooler and have a look. And if they try and leave the room at that point, I'll do, I guess, what a lot of point and click games do. Oh, I've accidentally picked up a fake plant. Is just don't let them leave. So when you click on the door, if we're in the middle of this water cooler event, then it'll just say, I need to go and check out the water cooler. So that could be something where we just stop them from leaving whilst they're looking at that particular bit. So all of that's working quite nicely. Oh, comment there from Experpleek. Experpleek. There we go. I can never know how to pronounce people's usernames. Maybe use royalty free for ambient type background movies, a bit of experience, write your own compositions. Yeah, and I would like to compose and write something specifically for it. It's just whether I've got the time, whether it's just another thing on top of everything else that I'm trying to do with it. But I was having a play the other day. I've got various MIDI things. I use Ableton quite a lot. I've got a little Ableton push, little move thing, which I was playing some retro samples on the other day and thinking, oh, I could make a little tune for this, just give myself even more work to do. But I'll maybe, once I've made that decision, I might do a live stream. I don't know how exciting that would be. Leave a comment if anyone's interested in that. I know quite a few people watch these back when they're not live, once they're recorded onto YouTube. If anyone would be interested in a music one, it'd be slightly under pressure live, trying to write a piece of music, but could at least show you some of the process of putting it together on Ableton or using one of the bits of hardware I've got. It's more, I guess, trying to get the style right, because I'm absolutely no composer, so I know the kind of chip tune thing, and actually there's a couple of free or pretty cheap virtual instruments that are based on the internal sound chips of Commodore 64s and things like that you can get. So you could have things that sound exactly like the retro hardware did. But that's the thing with this game. Yes, I wanted the retro aesthetic, but I also want some of the other kind of polish you get in newer games. That's why I've got the Unity lighting in it and things like that. So I'm just still not sure about how we go with the music, full retro or just nice royalty free stuff, as Xpurple just said then. Yeah, still to be decided. Anyway, I shall get back on with this. So we're happy with all of that. What we want to do is, when you leave here, before I forget, when it switches, or just before it switches in fact, good evening, Mike2410. Nice to have you on the live stream. Oh, you were the person who asked about the office desk, weren't you, on one of the other videos, and how I managed to group everything. You're going to get to see me cock it up tonight, Mike, because I've got to add a phone to that desk. I've just been saying that a minute ago. That particular room is what I'm moving into just after I've finished this action. So let me just set this variable set. So we're going to put this trigger fish on floor to false before we leave this room, so we don't forget to unset it. So when he leaves here and goes into the other room, we've got rid of that action. So it's a fake fish. Phone's ringing. Typically, Tyler's out at lunch. Better go get that. Off he goes. So I'll go back in. It shouldn't. Yeah, it shouldn't be triggering now. All right. So yeah, just Mike, for your benefit there, I'm going to be drawing a phone and adding it to this desk because I didn't draw it in the first instance when I drew this. So yeah, I need to draw that in Sprite and add that in, but I forgot that there was a mug on the table, and then it's of course going to end up me having to do exactly what you asked me the question about a week or so ago, which was how did I solve all of these objects where you can, like the mug, the post-it note, these are separate objects. And there's actually a screen overlay that, depending on what state the PC's in, so we can walk in front of them all and behind them all without things like order sorting. So hopefully it's going to be dead easy this time because I've done it loads now. So we're going to want the phone in. Let's just jump to Sprite and actually draw a phone then. So I've got this desk and items folder. It doesn't have the mug in. This is what confused me earlier. So let me just create a new layer there, call it phone. What should we go for? Should we go for like a little cordless thing on a little base? Let's do something like that. It's only going to be small, but I kind of want it to be sat somewhere where you're going to see it as soon as you come in the door. So it maybe needs to just go behind the keyboard actually and be a bit, that eraser's big. So something like that. I think I might even have a little flashing single pixel light on it. Yeah, let's animate it. Let's do a little dark version of it, and then we'll have that lit up as a pixel. Just give myself a little bit more work to do. Why not? So a little handset on it, I think. I made that. Kind of made it green, haven't I? It's no good. Bit like that. Scope creep, yeah. That's what I should have called the game. Scope creep, because it's constant. Oops, fill the whole scene with black. I mean, that looks pretty much like a phone, doesn't it? I wonder if we just add a bit of detail there. A light down that side. No, not like that. And then we could light up the screen. And we could light up that if we wanted to. I'll just have that flashing. I'll have to think about that. X-Purple, what resolution are you working in? I forgot. I forget. Let's have a look. Sprite size 320 by 180, and I mean, if you have a look back in livestream 1, there was probably a reason for that. I can't remember why now, but yeah, I think I'd based it on another an original game, Monkey Island or something or other. I wanted to go for that level of pixels. Is it Monkey Island? Yeah. And one, it's a huge favourite game of mine, but the whole thing about getting it into Unity and it performing at still being blocky, if you like, pixelated, meant that I had to kind of fudge the size of everything. So all of the geometry is scaled by 3.4, which is a random, like quite literally random number, just so that the we never see the background. I lose a few pixels around the side of it, but it means when the camera moves to the edge of things, we get like a full frame colour without any edges to it. And then all the pixel art is brought in with just a setting to make sure that it doesn't do any filtering. There's no bilinear or trilinear filtering, it's all just turned off, so it's just point filtering, so it stays nice and pixelated. Hope that answers your question. So that phone looks all right, I think. What I might do is just create another empty frame. Is it Alt and B? It is Alt and B, I think. So let's just duplicate that frame to there. Let's have the light lit up. It's got onion skin on there. Wondering why it looked a bit dim. And let's have that light up as well. So just a little 2-frame sprite for that. So let's hide all the other things. It's just, it's in a group, isn't it? Great. All right, that. So we just want to export that. So I'm just going to do File, Export, Sprite Sheet. See, I very rarely do that and do a selection. I'm not sure. So the source. Never do it this way around. So it's all frames, just the visible layers. So it's just the one that I've got. Because it's basically making the sprite sheet. I can see from here the whole size of the whole size of the canvas, which I didn't particularly want. It doesn't really matter because it doesn't make the file size any different. It's like transparent pixels, but it'd just be a bit easier if it wasn't like that. How do I normally do that? Oh, trim sprite. There we go. So that'll be fine like that. Output file. Choose a path for it, so it's going to go into my sprites. I usually do it by rooms, so I'm going to find them all. It is the office. Why can't I see office? Have I not created it? Oh, there. Mind. Phone. Right, export that. Come back over into Unity, get into that scene. So we're going to have all kinds of things to go wrong here. Fingers crossed, everyone. I'm not going to mess up every step of this. So if I go into my sprites, we're going into the rooms, we're going into the office. We've got a phone sprite sheet. So what I've got here in the importer, for those who are new to the channel, I've got a sprite sheet sliced preset. So all that really does is make sure there's no compression. Says it's going to be multiple sprites. You then still have to come into, I should click apply. Still have to come into the sprite editor. Because as it's just saying that, oh God, we need to reslice it. So I have no idea how big the pixel size is now, because can you just do it automatic? what I'd normally do is I'd know exactly how many pixels they were across, because it would normally be the whole sprite that I was working on. I mean, we can work it out, can't we? We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pixels across by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pixels. Actually, can you do, oh, cell count. Jesus Christ. So it's just 2 columns, 1 row. That's better. There you go. So it's in 2 slices now. Pivot, we can just put it bottom. And then click slice. So we end up with 2 slices. Click apply. So there are our 2 slices of that sprite sheet. That should be fine, hopefully. There's so many things that could go wrong in this step. So the phone itself now, we want to drag it into the scene. I'm going to drag it into the set geometry one, so it multiplies the size of it by 3.4. We want to hit reset here. So then it's full size, and because its parent is 3.4 times bigger, when I click F to find it, it should be the right size for the scene. Need to move it into position. So pop it on there, just behind the keyboard. And again, because it's not pixel locked, we can just shuffle it over to wherever we want, really. We've got to consider that a player might not have picked up that mug, so it might still be sat there. So that's fine as it is. And this is the bit where the answer to Mike's question, which I mean, the answer is I've forgotten, but hopefully I'm going to be able to just move this into a group. So this office desk and items, where you've got the mug, the post-it notes, that cable, all the things that can be turned on and off in here, and the login screen for the PC, because it's got like a little like Microsoft Windows little thing. This phone needs to go in there, and all of these, their ordering layer I think is set dependent on how far in front of just these items. So the mug is set to 1, so the phone being 0 is only just but behind the mug. If that was set to 2, it would be in front of the mug, because that is the order in the layers that are in this group, and the only way it knows that we're in group 0 is that on the parent we've got this sorting group. So all the things under this, is my understanding, for you Mike, all the items under that sorting group have got their own sorting number, but all of those then get sorted based on where the character is. And because the sorting group itself has a pivot point that's down here, then Clive can walk all the way around it, around the whole group of items. I've said that. I'm going to click play, and I'm going to show myself to be a liar, and it's not going to work. Let's have a look. Fingers crossed. There you go. So he's gone behind the phone. That's a good start. So he goes behind the phone, and then if he comes in front, fingers crossed, hey, he goes in front of the phone as well. Yeah, so everything in that sorting group is on the desk. So they don't all have to have their individual pivots like lower than the desk. They're all kind of grouped into one sorting group. So it's going to need a hotspot. Of course, it's going to need the animation to play, that it's ringing. You always had faith, did you? I'm glad you had faith there, Kyle, because I didn't, because these are the kind of things that normally happen on my live streams. I go, yeah, you just do that, that and that, and then it doesn't work. So yes, Mike, I'm glad that did work. So that is how you do it. It was months and months ago that I did that originally, so I'm glad it did work. Okay, so we now need to get the animation of it ready to play. Because it's in the scene all the time and has been, we're probably it's gonna be something that people would want to click on, the phone, in amongst this room of lots of other things you can click on. So we have to create a hotspot for it. We're gonna have to have some variables to do with when you click it in the game, so that Clive has some kind of response normally, and it's only on this occasion where it's ringing during this cutscene and he walks in that it's going to be flashing, that it would do something else. So let's get all that set up. The animation of it, because I dragged it in, I think maybe it wasn't the right way to do it, actually, thinking about it. It needs an animator controller on it, doesn't it? Yeah, I shouldn't have dragged it in like that, actually. Again, trying to remind myself of the best way to do this. Let's just delete it for a second. Instead of dragging it in just as a sprite, as a single sprite, because it's basically, that's why it's got a 0 on it. It's the first frame it's dragged in. And what I want to do is get these 2 frames. And I think if you drag 2 frames together in, yeah, it prompts you to create an animation clip. So I'll pop that in there and just call it Office Phone. Save. Where did it go? Oh, it's dropped it onto that item. Undo. There you go. You had faith there, Kyle, and it wasn't for long before it got messed up. Let's do that again. Let's get both of them, right click and create a new animation clip and call it Office Phone Anim. Drag that in. No, if I drag it onto there, it's going to do the same thing again as well. It is, isn't it? Let's just go back. Let's. My problem is, well, I've got lots of problems, but this particular one is when I learnt Unity years ago, the animator, animation, and the animator controller have always like done my head in. So we need an animator controller for it. And the only reason we need an animator controller for it is so that we can tell it to start ringing, because we don't want it just to be flashing on and off all the time. And it seems like an incredibly complex way around of doing things just for that one thing. So there is the phone. It's got, what is this that I'm looking at? I'm getting totally confused now. So this is the animator. But why is it showing up? What have I got selected that's showing that? Right, so we need, but this is an animator controller. Oh, it's because it created one there, didn't it? So I can see at the bottom, my anim clips office desk. Yeah, it's where has it gone? It created one, office desk and items controller. Yeah, it generated that when I dropped the anim clip on it, which is unhelpful. I wonder if perhaps the best way to do it is just create a blank object, call it phone, then create an animator controller by dropping the frames onto it. So in my sprites, get phone 1 and 2, drop them onto that phone game object, which will create an animation clip. It's phone anim. We're getting there. So we've now got an animator controller, which is called phone controller, which it created automatically when I dropped it onto the phone object. There's the phone controller that it created, and then this animation clip is those 2 frames. If I go to animation, you've now got these 2 frames here. So what we want to do is go and get the phone sprite. Is that? It's in the right group, isn't it? So the actual animation itself is that. You can see the flashing there where I'm just literally dragging the playhead left and right there. I think what I'm going to do is take that. We're going to move this. These are these seconds. Yeah, I think they are. No, they're not the frames, aren't they? Yeah, so that's 1 second. If it's running at 12 frames a second, I mean, you could run it at 1 frame a second and just to space them out. It doesn't. This samples is just how fast it runs, really. So, just hopefully, again, I'm going to sound like I know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to prove myself wrong. So it's going to stay off for like, because we're running at 1 frame a second, it'll be like 1, 2 seconds, and then it comes on for 2 seconds, and then it would go off again for 2 seconds, and then on for 2 seconds, I think. So let's have a look to see if it actually does that, or whether I'm made to be a liar again. What I also need to check is just that it's on loop, that animation. So I'll click play. Let's see if it's flashing every 2 seconds. There we go, 2 seconds on, 2 seconds off. 2 seconds on, 2 seconds off. Actually, it's more like 1 second on, isn't it? But it looks like it's ringing anyway. And let's just check it can still walk behind it. We can. And we can still walk in front of it. We can. I'm trying not to click on this plant because I know he'll pick it up. And then we'll be into finding tears in the carpet again. I wonder if actually what I should do, there's always something else that that is a puzzle from earlier on in the game. Earlier on? Yeah, later on. It would have been solved by this point. So once it's been solved, excuse me, I need to turn off the ability to pick up the plants. So he just says, I'm done picking up plants. So I think he actually does say that. But I don't know if I've set it up to stop it doing it. This is one of the joys of doing a game where you're reusing lots of the rooms, is as you come in and out of all these different rooms at different points in the game, there's things that do and don't need to be active. There's lots of things like this that get triggered just at a particular point in the game. So loads of stuff ends up stacking up both in your head and in the game for what you need to make sure is turned on, turned off, active, inactive, at various points of it. And it was getting so much with the shop floor, I ended up actually making 2 versions of the shop floor, one for Act 1, one for Act 2, just to try and split up the amount of checks that were being done every time you came into the room. and the office is starting to head that way now, with this phone and water cooler bit to do next as well. But the main thing is we've got that in. We need a hotspot for it, so let's actually go to the phone itself. Let's add, let's just do it custom. So you can click the new hotspot button down here, but I'm just going to put it straight onto the object. So we're going to create a hotspot. We're going to need a polygon collider for it. Oops. Collider. We want to make sure it's a trigger. And the joy of dropping it onto that, it actually does a pretty decent job of sorting out that polygon collider based on the sprite. So I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller, because a point and click adventure game is no fun unless you're pixel hunting. Fair enough, it's big enough then, isn't it? Not going to miss that. So we've added the hotspot to it. We'll just set some properties for it. So let's just call it phone. Let's call it office phone actually. Office phone. That's the name that appears when you click on it. Where's Clive going to walk to? So we don't have a walk to marker that's facing the right. I mean, that one's good, but it's facing the wrong direction. So we kind of need, and this isn't for now, this is for if earlier in the game you have clicked on the phone, because he's going to walk over to it. Let's just put it there. And let's call it phone. So we're just getting a marker in for it, so we can say walk to marker phone. We're going to have a use interaction for it. So if we use the phone, so there's going to be some variable checks here at some point, depending on which bit of the game you're in, but just for the sake of having something there, I'm going to say I don't need to call anyone at the moment. So at least got a response when you click on it. Although Clive would tell you what model and make of phone it was. So let's have that as a dialogue. It's the new, what should we call it? No brand names here. Anyone come up with a comedy sounder-like? Was it Binatone that made phones? Let's call it Binaphone, unless anyone's got any better ideas. Binaphone 3000 digital cordless phone. It hardly ever rings. ... Thankfully. I think I can rely on you, Kyle, to come up with something silly for that, but Binaphone I'll leave there for now. And I'll just pop that one after it, so at least we've got something in there. Just check that that all works. A bit of making silly mistakes, so just check that they, so yeah, office phone. It's the new Binaphone 3000 digital cordless phone. Hardly ever rings, thankfully. Don't need to call anyone at the moment. He didn't walk, which means I've made a silly mistake. So what we need to do there, player action, it says do nothing. We need to do walk to marker, and it goes to the marker that we set up there, and we want him to face the same direction as the marker after he's moved there, so he'll be looking at the phone. That should be sorted. I trust I've done it right. I'm not even going to test it. Living on the edge. Okay, so ignore that because he's not actually picking up the phone. We're in the middle of a cutscene here. I know, it's a good question actually. Just asking myself a question in my head. We're in the middle of a cutscene from the shop, and then in that cutscene we force the player to walk into here, and they're still in a cutscene. So when they come into this room, there's obviously all these other things that happen throughout the game when you come into this scene, because it runs various other cutscenes. So we need to create another one of these. Yeah, I've not done this in a great way. I'm looking at this because this is from a couple of months ago. This is what I've called the normal scene entry, because we've got other cutscenes that trigger in here. So this CS trigger when Tyler arrives, cutscene trigger at the start of Act 2. So these are all checked when we come into the office. And this is what I was getting at earlier on. Once you get a game with reuse of lots of rooms, there ends up being lots of checking every time you load this room to see where we are in the flow of things. If anyone on the chat has got a better way of handling that, by the way, because this is why things get complicated. But it looks like this is how we normally come in. We've got something that checks if the post-it note's been picked up, what status the PC screen's in, whether they've opened the filing cabinet drawer. All of them are done there. So they're all good. Let's just move them over. I think what we're going to do is just create a fourth one. More and more complexity. We're going to check variable, check. See, I'm using this trigger, cutscene trigger of fish on floor in the shop. I've just set it back to false actually before he walked in here, so it's maybe not the right time to do it. So let's just check it's true. And if it is, we're going to continue with this cutscene. So the letterbox is already going to be there because it's a menu and it sits above everything else. But we want to continue the ringing of the phone and all of that here. So what I need to do before I forget is back in the other scene, in the shop floor, oh, not shop floor, as I said earlier, I've got shop floor Act 2. So in the cutscene where we're doing this fish on floor bit, just at the bottom here, I've just changed that cutscene trigger. I'm going to take that out of there and we're going to use the same cutscene trigger. Delete that. Actually, no, I'll leave it there as a memory and just put a little comment in it and just say, need the CS trig for entering the office as the cutscene spans 2 scenes. So that's the reason why. Just going to leave that in there. So aide memoir for later. Go back to the office. And then as we come in here, I trust that the fact I've given this group a name, the normal scene entry, that everything should flow through here if we're in normal mode, which we are. So we're checking that that fish on floor is still true. If it is, then we want Clive just to pause for a sec. So we'll just pause for one there. We won't actually, we'll do it, but we want the phone to be ringing. So we're going to do an action list running parallel. 2 chains running in parallel. One of them is going to be what Clive's doing. and one of them is going to be the phone ringing. So we need the NPC in this scene. The NPC is the phone. So let's do that. Do you know what's going to be more sensible? Let's just create a cutscene in here, just to keep things tidy. Create a cutscene using the button, new cutscene. So cutscene, phone, and then when it starts, just to keep it a bit tidier, this stuff, let's cut that out of there. Basically, if it's true, we're going to run this cutscene. So action list, run in scene, CS, CC, cutscene phone, and run from the start of it. If it's not, then we don't need to do anything. Just so I'm not putting a load of cutscene in that scene start. So in here, we paste the actions that we copied. So this is Clive coming in. We want the phone to ring. So we need the NPC in. So we're going to search for NPC phone. Drop the NPC phone into the scene. And those who've joined the live stream a little bit later, this is basically a blank NPC so that I can get the text, the like ring bit of the phone, and position it exactly where I need it to be. So in this case, it's probably going to be about here. Actually know what I'm going to need to do, because Clive's going to walk to here and it'll be right in front of his face. So I might need to put it just a little bit higher. We'll work that out in a sec where it needs to be, but that is the NPC, that is the phone. And it means that then you can set up a text color for it. And then you can position the text exactly where you need it. So back into this, we're going to wait for a second. Clive's basically going to stand at the door for a second. We kind of want to make sure we've taken control off the user. I need to set this up properly in an action that puts the letterboxes on, hides the inventory button, and makes sure the user can't like use the mouse basically. But I'll just put a little note there because I need to, oops, double comment. Need a cutscene action to handle letterbox, inventory, and mouse control. I won't do that tonight. I'll work that out. What's happened there? That's strange. Is it because I've got 2 engine weights? Delete that. Put the comment in there. There we go. So we want dialogue, play speech, and the NPC is the phone. And it's going and then it waits for 1 second. It plays in background, so you don't have to wait for the user to click it. So if you were here earlier on the stream, I've just done this in the other room. We're going to copy that. We're going to paste it. We're going to add that to there, and then finish the word. We're then going to wait 1 second. No, we're not. We're going to wait 3 seconds. The phone's going to stop ringing just before he gets there. So I think what we'll do is we'll have him wait for 2 seconds. Might feel a bit long for a player when you can't control him, but we're going to move him. So character, move to point. It's the player we're going to move. He's heading for that phone marker. He's going to pathfind his way there. We're going to wait till he gets there. Copy the marker angle. So he's facing down. And then we're going to stop it from ringing. So we're going to do a dialogue. Play speech for the NPC phone. And we're just going to go click. As if it's just stopped. Oh, we could do it just before he gets there, couldn't we? Maybe that's better. So let's not wait until his walk finishes. He's going to pause at the door for 2 minutes. 2 minutes? That'd be terrible, wouldn't it? 2 seconds. He's going to set off walking. We're going to wait for a second. That's then going to go click. Clive's going to stop. So can we do that? Can we do a character? Can you just stop him? That's a good point. Not sure if you can. Not sure if you can interrupt a pathfind. I don't think it really matters. You can just walk there. And then, yeah, let's just see how it looks. Play speech. Unbelievable. Viable. It stopped. So let's just see how that all works out. So it's when he comes in here, it's going to happen, but only if that fish on floor triggers true. So let's see what happens. Bring. Unbelievable. Oh, it's still ringing, yeah. So I need to stop that loop going round as well. So just as he went to get there. So we need to stop that from ringing. How do I do that? We could put a little. Do I need to? Could I just do this? It seems to be quite complicated, this, for what the effect is. I mean, I could just have these in line, couldn't I? It might be simple. I'm already thinking ahead to having a variable that gets switched and then it checks a variable before it rings again, but I might get it halfway through a ring. So perhaps I just need to be braver and put these in a line. So let's just unhook a couple of these. So we come in, we get the brick that plays in the background. Oh, no. No. It does need to be in a separate thing. It just doesn't want to be. It doesn't want to be looping. We'll get there in the end. This is the joys of doing this stuff live. Brick. So we're going to get one run through the bring, basically. We're not going to send it back there. we're just going to get one ring. This is going to run, we're just not going to loop it, because then with a second there, 2 seconds waiting, let's have 2 seconds there, and then you get the bring bit. You'll set off walking, we'll get the click, and that is, I pressed undo. Adventure Creator can't do undo states for things here that you've moved, deleted and things like that, so it seems to have just undone that dialogue that I said. Unbelievable. It's stopped just as I got to it. So we're using this as a narrative device to get the player into the office in order to see what's happened here. I haven't drawn it yet, but the water cooler has leaked. He mentions it earlier on, if you've looked at it, that there's a fault with the water cooler and they're waiting for an engineer. And the leak causes a puddle here, which reveals some footprints going into the storeroom, which are not Clive's. And this is all part of the setup with the dodgy fish guy, where he has asked him to go and get a vintage carpet sample. So that's forced Clive into the storeroom. Storeroom's dark and out the way. You're in there for a bit looking for those vintage samples. And what's actually happened is the guy has snuck into the kitchen, waited for you to come out with the sample. Water cooler's leaked. He's walked through it and not noticed, and you see his footprints leaving into the store. So it's a way to get the player to follow those footprints into the store, and the footprints are going to lead to nowhere by the looks of it, and that's going to reveal like the twist in the game. So all of this setup, which seems really tedious and small for a ringing phone, is all really important to the narrative and to move people between the rooms. So with that said, what we need to do is test that that is working, and then we need to get the next bit of the cutscene is that he's noticing. So there's the bring, click, unbelievable. There we go, that was good timing. Stopped just as I got to it. So I think what I'll do as well is, if we're in the process of people might want to click it. I also need to stop it from ringing. I've realised it's flashing now, so we need to do that. Yeah, there's about 10 other things that need to be done. So this office phone animation where it's flashing, we could either set the speed to 0, because I think you can do that, or just create another animation clip where it's not flashing. So that might be easier, and then we can just set it to that. Is it easier? Let's go and see. Let's get the office phone anim. Which one was it? We made 2, didn't we? That's the one we're using. Delete that. Delete office phone anim. Duplicate that. I'm going to call the other one ringing. So that's using ring. This one, I'm going to drag that on there. That's the non-ringing one. And a couple of different ways we could do it. We could either set this as the default one so that it's not ringing. I need to go and do that actually. So office phone, and then this is the not ringing one. So in the animation, I'm just going to delete that second lit up frame. So it's basically just got one frame, which is the non-lit up one. So the phone itself, It's on the office desk, isn't it? See it then. So the default thing is it ringing, and what we probably want to do is its default thing is not ringing, and then we set it to ringing when you come into this cutscene, but make sure that its default is not. So I think you can click that, set layer as default state. So by default it goes to that, so it shouldn't be flashing now. It should just be on the static first frame. Yeah, so it's not flashing. And that's because during the rest of the game it won't be ringing. And then we can just set it to this one when we come in. Office phone anim ring. It's a big name, that. I'm just going to call it ringing. And let's call that one not ringing. The animator can, the animations themselves have got full names, so I know what they are in the hierarchy, but not ringing and ringing. So when you come into here and we start this, we just want to make sure it's ringing. It might need to start earlier, be fine. So let's just do object, animate, play custom. This is all a bit of a mess, isn't it? Fudge over. It's not legacy that one, is it? It's mechanim. Play custom. So it's the phone and the clip name that we're playing on that animator wants to be ringing. Ringing. Make sure I spell it right. So that should now ring. You'd probably see it swap over because it's in full screen, isn't it? There you go. So it's ringing. I mean, you see it for like 1 second, and then we need to set it back to the not ringing one. It's barely worth it. We did that little bit of animation at the start. Let's maybe change the timing a little bit. Let's have him wait there a whole 3 seconds. It's a shame you can't walk slower. Anyway, it is what it is. These things, sometimes you spend more time than you needed to. Who knows, we might use the phone again. So then we want to set it back to not ringing. I'm going to take the space out of that. Not ringing. So within that cutscene, once that stops, you do the click, which plays in the background. We'll do object, animate, whoops, animate, mechanim, change the parameter of the phone to not ringing. Nope, play custom, not ringing. Could have done it with parameters actually. Thought about that, but I couldn't really remember how to do it. But yeah, you could set up a parameter here which could be called ringing and just make it true or false, and then set up a transition between these two, and then make that transition have a condition. And if you create a parameter like a bool, call it ringing. We could have done it all with parameters, but it's just another thing for me to forget basically. But yeah, that's another way of doing it if you're interested with mechanim. So the entry point, it's not ringing. It can never come down this line until ringing equals true. So ringing is just a bool. It'll then drop into here, into its ringing mode. And then you could actually make a transition back and say on condition that ringing is false. And then you've actually done it all with like the state machine instead in Unity. I've just realised like my, I'll move that over a bit, there you go. My webcam window is covering up most of that I was just talking about. But yeah, it is possible to do it all like that instead, so that it can just flow using Mechanim, but probably more complex than just listing them by name. So that should be working now. That goes ringing, that goes not ringing, and it should stop ringing now. So it should start ringing when you come into the room. It should stop ringing when you go out. When you get up to it, sorry. So it's ringing now. You see it flashing. Unbelievable. Yeah, and it stopped. What I'm going to do, because all of that effort to make it flash, let's just speed up the flashing. So let's go to my anim clips, phone, ring, go to the animation, and just set the sample speed, so it's at the frames per second basically. If I set it to 6 instead and do it again, it'll be blinking quite quick. And there you go. Could have it on for the first frames. Yeah, I think as it was going there, it looks fine because it's flat. Yeah, all that. It looks quite nice when it's flashing quite quick. So, so what we want to do now is Clive needs to spot the water. This is quite a long cut. I mean, it's not long in real time terms. It's going to be like a minute, 30 seconds. But we want him to walk over, spot the leak, and then we'll give control back to the player. I said earlier on when I started this cutscene, I was a bit worried that the player isn't in control for a bit, but I think it's fine for this bit of story to get them pushed in the right direction. When it comes to playtesting it, I'll decide whether that's true or not. But for the last bit of this cutscene, just notice the time actually, that's flown by. It stopped just as I got to it. And then he wants to do another little bit of dialogue. And he goes, wait a sec, ... Might have that playing back. I'm going to try this out so the user doesn't have to click. He's going to say, wait a sec, and then he's going to walk with that text. I think that happens if he walks, it comes with him. He goes, wait a sec. We're going to move him. So we're going to do a character, move to point, is player, he's going to walk, we're going to wait till he gets there, we're going to copy the marker angle, we need to make that marker in a sec, we're then going to watercooler has leaked. I want him to do like a couple of steps towards it. So he's going to say, wait a sec, he's going to take a couple of steps and stop and go, the watercooler's leaked, and then take a couple more steps and then go, hang on, there's footprints coming out the, like leading into the thing. That can't have been Tyler, and then that's the setup for you to go into the office. Watercooler's leaked. So he needs to walk to the next marker. So character move to point. I could just copy that one over there, couldn't I? Copy that, paste it there. So we need to put another marker in there. Watercooler is leaked. And then dialogue. And whose are those footprints? Whose are those footprints? Right. So we need 2 markers set up, and this is where we're going to do that's kind of giving the player the control back again. So we're going to turn off the letterbox, transition it off, wait till it finishes, and that's where we're giving them back their control. It's kind of the end of the cutscene there. I'm sure there used to be like a cutscene end thing where you could... I might have set up something with the event editor. Did a little tutorial on the YouTube channel about using the event editor. The events editor. No, so I haven't done that, but I do need to set one up. Yes, X Purple. The misspelling of happy birthday is because Tyler, who is the kind of student worker who works with Clive in this carpet shop, is kind of useless at everything, including spelling. It had been Clive's birthday the night before or the day before, and it still hasn't been taken down the banner. So he makes a comment about that when you look at it. I think something like, with all the best intentions, it was a nice thought, but shame he can't spell birthday, something like that. Yes, that is why the misspellings there. The event editor, what I'll maybe do is set up a global event, which is like a cutscene, so triggering a cutscene. I think I tried to do this before. There's maybe a reason why you can't, but yeah, it needs to turn off some of the things so that it's out of the user's control during a cutscene. So the phone, we've turned it off. I've got a feeling the letterbox wasn't on when you came into here. Probably because I'm stopping and starting Unity here. Yeah, so there's no letterbox on at the moment, but had I have come through from the other room, it would have been there, I think, but we'll check that out. I'll carry on the stream until I've got this little bit done. Just got to it, watercooler is leaked. All right, yeah, so I've got to put the marks in. So he wants to walk a little bit, come to here and go, the watercooler's leaked, and then come about here and go, what are those footprints? So we need 2 markers set up along the way for him to do that. So marker 2D, let's call it, I'm just going to call it footprints 1. Oops. Move that into position. So he's going to walk along here, kind of in this gap. So his head's here, I think. Make sure he's facing right. So footprints 1, duplicate footprints 2. Move that a bit further along. So he's kind of stood here, and this plant will be, it's here because it's part of another puzzle where you cover up this tear in the carpet. So he's going to be stood there when he talks about the footprints. And then we possibly even have a footprints 3 for when the player goes to investigate them, which they'll be able to do. I think he'll come down here a little bit and he'll face upwards, and that'll be where it's kind of like the leading into the storeroom. I'm still torn at the moment. I think it was in my notes. Consider showing the fish guy lurking behind the kitchen door. So when you come out with the vintage sample and walk across here to go out, to go and take the sample to the guy, what he's doing is he's hiding in the kitchen. So I thought about having it as a cutscene where the player's not in control of it and Clive walks past, and just as he gets to here, you kind of see the guy popping his head round the kitchen door, so that the player would see it, but Clive wouldn't see it, and it'd be like, oh, there's a guy in the kitchen, and then you kind of know something that Clive doesn't know. So then when he's like, where's the guy gone? You know as the player that you just saw him coming out of the kitchen. Clive had his back to him as he was walking out, so I might set that bit up. and do the little animation of him popping his head around the side of there and stuff like that. Because actually there is a similar animation later on where the guy pops his head around something else, so I could reuse that actually. I haven't drawn it yet, but at least it'll get 2 uses in the game. Right, so we need to set these up, add these into the where he's walking to. So where are we? There. So he's going to go to footprints 1. The water cooler is leaked, and then he's going to go to footprints 2. And who's those footprints? Which will leave him stood there. And then what we want to do is turn on a hotspot for those footprints. We haven't drawn it yet, so let's just quickly deal with that. So deselect that, turn all of this stuff back on. Oh, because I'm in that second frame. I'd lost everything there. Minor panic. So it's not in the foreground. It's not an item. Close the desk items. Let's just create a layer there. Call it spill and prints. So I'm going to probably make it a little bit darker. Just sure how far out I want this to be. It kind of needs to be, I know this is a very silly game, but it needs to be far enough out that it would have been trodden in. That plant's not there, is it, in the game? That's bloody handy because it's in a bad place. Oh, hang on. Oh, that was why. Yeah, this and this. You can't do things like that in a sprite. I decided to put this here in the end, and the carpet tear, because they were in a funny position over there. I'll just put them there because that's where they actually got positioned in Unity in the end. And it was so that there's still plenty of space here to see this bit. I didn't want too much visual noise on it. So this spill, just a little bit lighter here. Something that looks a bit like footprints. Not got a lot of pixels to play with there, but he's come walking out here, walked through the spillage. Let's just turn the opacity down a bit on that. I think that's a bit much. Yeah, something like that. I can always come and tidy this up. I say this all the time. It's because a lot of the time after a live stream, I then go back and go, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. That's good enough, I think. Looks like little footprints leading from that. Okay, so we want to just export that particular bit. Quick sniff test, yes, nice one. Yeah, last live stream, for those who didn't see it, was a dog taking a piss at the front of the shop. So Yes, hopefully that's not the case here. Let's export that then. File, export. It's not a sprite sheet. I always just hide everything and do it visible. And it's partially because half the time I can't find the layer that so layers. So just the one frame. Spill and prints, the area. Do the whole canvas. Just see if this works. Oh, I nearly went over the office plant. So in the office, let's call it spill. It's actually a leak, isn't it, really? Right, did that come out correctly? Let's go into my sprites, office, spill. Yeah, looks like it. And I'll just apply my single piece of pixel art setting to that. Yeah, you can see it's done it 320 by 180. So what should happen then is when I drag it into here and then reset its transform, bosh, it lands exactly where it needs to be, apart from the fact oh no, it isn't exactly where it needs to be. There must be an offset somewhere. Must be an offset somewhere. Let's not worry about it. Let's just move it slightly. It's overlapping the water cooler. Or was it? There's something else going on there. It looks very yellow at the bottom there, doesn't it? Let's just move that down. Oh, it's the hotspot. This is why I don't like the draw yellow cube thing. Yeah, it's fine. It's like yellow cube overlapping the edges. I thought it was overlapping. Oh, that's strange. So we've got that in position, the spill. So we're going to have to do a few things here because it's not visible until this point in the game. So we need to remember visibility on it. We need to remember hotspot. Might as well do that while I see it. Remember hotspot. Remember visibility so that the game can store the visible attributes of this particular thing. We want to add a hotspot. Call it water puddle. So that's what it appears as to the player. The walk to marker we're going to use was that footprints 3. Footprints 3 there. Just thinking ahead here. I'll make it an examine interaction so you get the magnifying glass. Walk to the marker. First after moving. Something like the I'm just going to say there's definitely someone else's footprints leading into the storeroom. Storeroom. Can't be Tyler. He's out at lunch, which comes back to something I said earlier on where we need to see Tyler leaving so that you don't just assume it's Tyler who's walked in there. Leading into the storeroom. Okay, so we also need a polygon collider. Make sure it's a trigger. It's done it the size of the thing, hasn't it? Of course it has. Don't want to do that. It's because I did it the size of the whole canvas, so let's just rein that in. And just tighten it up so it's not got a massive box. Don't think I'm going to do a hotspot for the footprints themselves. I think players will just move on to the office, to the store, sorry, they'll want to know what's in there. So let's just test that out. The hotspot is not visible, and the hotspot is not active, so we want to set them to off, and we want to make sure we put them on in that cutscene, because they won't have been there. So right at the start of the cutscene. Now this is one thing I'm always unsure about. I don't know if there's anyone technical in the chat. When you're doing a cutscene like this, this is a cutscene that's been triggered by another cutscene. So there is a delay of some sort for this cutscene to get run, because it basically runs this on start cutscene, runs all the way down here, probably in a millisecond, checks this and then runs this other cutscene. At some point here, there's a camera fade in. So the scene starts black and then fades in. In a way, part of me thinks I should make this visible before that camera fade in, because then I always think I'm going to see it appear. But let's test it out, because we're down here through these things into this cutscene. Let's just make it visible here and see if we notice it flash. So, again, right mess. Right mess. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do a hotspot, enable or disable, and it's, what did I call it in the end? Did I call it puddle? No, I called it spill. Spill. We're going to enable it. We're going to make it visible. So we're going to do object visibility. Again, it's called spill because we put the hotspot on the same object. We're going to make it visible, and then we're going to do the rest of that. So what I'm looking out for is whether you see it appear suddenly. I just don't know how fast it goes through these things. So I'm just keep my eye over in the corner of the screen. No chance. So it's happens so quickly, you don't see that appear. Stop just as I got to it. Wait a sec. The water cooler's leaked. And whose are those footprints? It's definitely someone else's footprints leading to the storeroom. Yeah. Can't be Tyler. He's out at lunch. I wonder if we do a break the fourth wall and have him turn around, look at the camera and go, that's a bit creepy, or something like that. Yeah, let's do that. let's do that. Let's just throw that in there as well. So this was something actually that was the user clicked, didn't they? So it's on spill, hotspot. So we're going to do character face direction, affect the player, face down, wait until it's finished, dialogue, play speech. That's a bit creepy. And then it's for the player to walk into the storeroom. So what I might do is let's try that right the way from the start. Just to check I've got everything hooked up there. So this whole thing, let's start it from in here. No, let's go over to the office. So, sorry, the shop floor. So we'll go to the shop floor, we'll set the variable. Yeah, make sure it's set for fish on floors true. Oh, we haven't drawn the fish on the floor. Oh, let's do that. Let's draw a fish. So into here, let me just save some of these. Save that. I've got Tyler walk cycles to do as well. And then I was about to do a Tyler walk cycle. I thought, shall I do that tonight? Shall I do a bit of like sprite animation? And I thought, no, because it's always, I feel under pressure when I'm drawing, when there's when it's being recorded and live streamed, to get it right first time. But then I realised I haven't even drawn him from the sides yet. I've only ever drawn him from the front. So he's got like his talk animations. He's got like a little phone idle thing where he's playing with his phone. And then just like a little idle hand swing thing. I don't even know what he's meant to look like from the side. And of course I've made the age-old problem, I've probably mentioned this before, I've made a character that's not symmetrical, so when he walks right, he's going to have to be completely different from when he walks left, because he's got this big green fringe. So you'll just see like green hair from one side of him, but then you'll see half his face from the other side of him. He's obviously got a badge, an untucked shirt, all of that. So whilst it's a cool little character, it's going to be more work as usual. Coming back to the comment earlier on from Kyle, which was it should be called scope creep, this game. I think that's the same for everyone who's making their own project, to be honest. Right. Oh, cheers, Purple. That yeah, Thimbleweed Park. I do really like Thimbleweed Park, and when I thought about whether I could, I mean, frankly, whether I could draw the pixel art for this, I'd not done pixel art for like over 20 years. Like on an Amiga was the last time I did it, 20 odd years ago, and yeah, it wasn't for, it was for a college project, I think. So before starting this project, I'd not drawn pixel art for so long. And I just thought, what style can I get away with? And I was looking at Thimbleweed Park going, their characters in Thimbleweed Park are super simple, probably even more simple than these ones. Yeah, and that was the other thing, Purple, as you've just said there, I kind of wanted with this to bring some of the modern effects stuff into it in the same way they did. And I kind of, we've done some of that, I think, on some of the live streams. I know you're a new follower there, Purple, but I'll show you that scene just because you've asked about it. Funky monkeys, tangenting. That's another thing we should call the game, tangent, because I do that all the time. So I don't know if there's any cutscenes playing in this scene, but with a lot of this stuff, so it's pixel art, but we've got like lights that are affecting the pixel art. So you've got like this dodgy bulb here that's like flickering like around the back of the car. You can see it goes into the light, same as like in the storeroom that you've just seen as well. when you go in the side alley. So I'm using kind of lighting to colour it and to change the colouring of the sprites, but keeping that kind of pixel art style as well. So Thimbleweed Park, yeah, definitely an inspiration in that, because then it still feels retro. And I think going back many live streams, I was kind of struggling a bit like I am with the whole retro music thing. Do I keep it proper retro and not use any of these nice lighting effects, and just use what was available? Similar with the music, do I do more modern, like chip tune music with a bit more, I guess, modern feel to it, or do I actually go with like an emulated Commodore 64 like chip type thing as well? So yeah, lots to think about in just how retro you go. How old do you go? Right, shop floor. What was he doing? I've tangented. Shop floor, Act 2. I was drawing the fish, wasn't I? I was about to draw a fish, and then I started talking about Tyler. So, shop floor, what we want is a puddle of water with a dead fish in it, which isn't a dead fish. It's the orange jelly from inside a Jaffa cake, and I have no idea why I decided on that, but because it's silly. Fish, dead fish, dead fish. Right, that's that, dead fish. So we want, let's have to go much higher. Carpets. So let's just get some water on that. A couple of different layers here as well, I think, because we're going to change the opacity of that so we can see a bit of it a bit brighter and just put some highlights in it. New layer above it, broken glass. But the guys come in with a, those who are new to the stream, this weird guy, I'll show you the weird guy. Again, always appreciative of new followers and people coming on the stream, so just to bring you up to date with a couple of these. Customer. Oh, hang on, my sprite, so I'm in the wrong folder, that's why. Sprite. Characters. Customers. Fish tank guy. Might have seen his face on some of the tutorials on YouTube as well. There's like one of the talking tutorials is with this guy. So it's this guy who's got the fish in the tank. It's not a fish. It doesn't move. I think this was possibly another weird discussion from a previous live stream where I was like, oh, I might have the fish swimming about. And I was like, no, maybe it's funnier if it's not actually a fish, because the guy's talking about it. Like, it's got a name for it. He's taking it for a walk, all of that. And it's actually just the orangey bit out the inside of a Jaffa cake, because it's all part of a ruse to get you out the way so we can get into the storeroom. But yeah, that's the dodgy guy, and he's got this like little shifty little eye thing that he does. This little like left and right, like looking left and right. There's a little shifty thing there. So it's his fish tank here that's now smashed on the floor. So we just need a bit of broken glass as well. Right. Now I'm hungry for Jaffa cakes. Do you know what? Not Jaffa cakes, but wouldn't have that been good if I had Jaffa cakes with me? A friend of mine last night called these diggers. So I don't know if everyone's in the UK, but chocolate digestives. I've never heard them called diggers, as in diggers. Yeah, you go, oh, chocolate diggers, nice one. And I was like, what? Never in all of my years heard them called that, but there you go. Chocolate digestives, classic. I've managed to avoid eating on a live stream so far. Chocolate hobnobs, good shout, Purple. Yeah, do you know? Yeah, I'd never heard of chocolate diggers before, but I've said it twice today. Yeah, chocolate hobnobs. That was what I was going to buy from the shop last night before they came round. I was like, oh, chocolate hobnobs, because that would be my decision. Some people are a bit iffy about hobnobs. I'm glad we got to biscuit chat. Some people are a bit iffy about hobnobs. My wife in particular, I think her mum either did like some sales stuff for McVitie's, and they got, as kids, they got like all they could eat hobnobs, which they basically got sick of hobnobs and she can't stand the sight of them now. And I've had this from other people as well, like, oh, hobnobs, no, it's like a flapjack, like too naughty. So again, because we had friends around last night, I wasn't sure if they liked hobnobs, so I went with Chocky Diggers, apparently, instead. Wouldn't it be my choice? Yeah, that's the other good thing as well, Purple, a hobnob. It holds some tea. It really does soak it up. And this is all important chat. This is part of the game as well. I will, the carpet salesman, as a general rule, I mean, they drink a lot of tea because they've got not much else to do. If you've been into a carpet shop recently, they're all sat around doing very little. And then they come and bother you for a bit. But yes, I like the idea that all these older gentlemen who work in carpet shops, they really like a cup of tea and some biscuits. And the biscuits actually come into play in the game, because when he uncovers this strange cult, the custodians of carpet, there's biscuits on the table where their secret meeting room, and cups of tea, so he knows they're men of a certain age. And you're right as well, Kyle, that is a classic custard cream bourbon as well, of course. The rich man's custard cream. Particular flavour is a crunch cream, where you're kind of combining the texture of a ginger nut without the ginger with the cream, like a custard cream. Tunnock's tea cakes. I mean, these are all very good suggestions. Tunnock's tea cake, though, that is for rich folk, isn't it? Let's be fair, not cheap. Do you know, actually, in Scotland, I was working somewhere in Scotland, and I was just in a little B&B, and there was sometimes get free chocolates on your pillow or whatever, and there was a little tray of tea making facilities. It was just in a little independent B&B, and there were the Tunnock's wafers that I do really like the rectangular ones that are multi-layered wafers in chocolate. There was one of them, and it was definitely Tunnock's brand, but it had like knobbly bits on it. Sounds dodgy, but it was like, yeah, like a Tunnock's caramel wafer, but it was all textured as well. Like, I don't know what it had on it, but a completely different version of it that I'd never seen before. And apparently they're really big in Scotland, and I'd never heard of them. So there you go. Right, less biscuit chat, more fish. So let's do the goldfish. Not a goldfish, as we've said. It's the inside of a Jaffa cake, but it needs to be super orange so that we can really see it. And we want it to really stand out, so it's a bloody big Jaffa cake, that. Again, not got a lot of pixels to play with here. I think that'll probably do. We might give it a little bit of... That'll do. We'll be able to see it from there. So we've got the goldfish, the broken glass, and the dead fish water. So they all need to come out. when you've got a big scene like this in Airsprite with like absolutely bloody loads of things drawn in it, I really don't know the best way of just getting that out. What I was always taught when I was at university doing Photoshop and things like that 30 years ago, no, not quite, God, not far off, 25 years ago, you should never do destructive things. Like, it should be a non-destructive workflow. And this is fine if I've got this right this time, because ultimately I should then be able to just select those layers, wherever they've gone. So drag over all 3 of those layers and then just set up the export settings without hiding all of the layers I don't want. I never seem to get it right. So we don't want to do visible layers. We want to do selected layers, because I've got those 3, goldfish, broken glass and dead water. And the area is the marquee selection that I've done. And it's just the selected frames, so it doesn't go off and output all of them. So that should be right. Let's choose where it's going. Rooms, shop floor. It always impresses me, this. Adobe should learn from the people who made bloody Airsprite. Baked into the Airsprite file for this shop floor is the preferred export location for anything that comes out of this file, because you saw a minute ago I was working in the office and exporting that water spill, but it knows when I'm using this file, like the last thing, must get saved in the Airsprite file, which is just fantastic. Adobe, like, still to this day, you do export, it just remembers the last random folder you used, or just kicks you out into images or something like that, which is useless. Anyway, I digress, as usual. Right, what is it? It's dead fish, innit? Dead fish. Let's just call it that. I'll know what it is. It's going into the shop floor room. Save. Export. So hopefully that's done. Just give that a save. Minimize that. Come into here. Let's go and grab it. MySprites rooms. Shop floor. Dead fish. Set its import settings to a single piece of art. Apply that. Drop it onto my set geometry so it gets its scale correct, and then reset its transform. Go and find it with F. There it is. Grab it with W. Move it into position. That green marker there is where Clive goes to. So I'll put it there maybe. Oh, and it's got a little gap. It's got a little brown line there. It's not quite lined. So just pull it over there like that. That's better. Give that a save. And then we're going to have exactly the same things with this. It's going to need to be... oh, actually, one of the things that is going to be a problem here, is it? Let's just go back to the dead fish sprite. Oops, dead fish. Open the sprite editor. So it's, what do you call it? Pivot point is in the middle. So that'll get used for when it's in front of or behind Clive. Or it might, because it's using center here, center pivot. When he crouches down, yeah, it'll be below the center, so it won't render behind him. Yeah, that should be fine. That should be fine. We'll find out. So we want to go and add all of the things we added before. So we need, we're not going to be able to click it. So we're just going to have remember visibility. It needs to be off until this point in the game when it's going to get turned on. Actually, we probably will want a hotspot, because when we come back into here after this bit, actually, will we come in? Yeah, we will. Yeah. Hotspot. Remember hotspot. It's going to be off at the start. Smashed fish bowl, we'll call it that. Cheers, Kyle. Yeah, good night. I know it is getting late. This is much longer than usual. I was desperate to try and get this whole set of things done, but you know, I'm going to have to go soon because it's my turn to walk the dogs. Lunchtime, so I've got the evening walk. But let me just try and get this last bit done. So we have the hotspot. It's going to be off. We've got. We're going to need a. Let's just do a box collider for it. No, I do that quite regularly, and then I'm never happy with how big it is. I thought there was a little bits of glass spread around as well. So let's just get that roughly around there. You're not going to be able to click this at the moment, but later on in the game, when you come back in, it'd be nice to be able to click it and have a funny line. So they're all turned off at this point. In the cutscene, the fish is on floor. We need to make sure that that's shown at the start. So we're going to do object, oops, visibility, dead fish is visible. We're not going to turn the hotspot on for this, we're going to turn the hotspot on later. We just need to make sure that that's visible. Let me just check that very quickly. So it is. Yeah, I've got it. It's skipping a load of dialogue there. So what I want to do is just unskip that. That's such a word. Yeah, it's doing a big jump down here. So unhook that, hook it up to there. Actually, this might be it. This might be the end of the stream. I'm going to run through this whole bit from walking into here. So he's walking into here with the vintage sample. Yeah, let's just run it through. Let's see if this all makes sense. Looks about. Where's he gone? That's weird. What the? He's looking at the fish. He smashed his fish bowl on the laminate. Oh, Mr. Chips. Just when you thought this couldn't get any stranger. Spelling mistake. Yeah, so he's behind the thing there. Turns out Mr. Chips isn't a fish after all. It's a fake fish. Bring, bring. Now the phone's ringing. Typically Tyler's out at lunch. Yep, we've got that bring, bring that we set up at the start of this. Better go and get that. Off he goes. Bring. There's our little flashing phone. Bring. Unbelievable. Stop just as I got to it. Wait a sec. The water cooler's leaked. And those are those footprints. Look at the water puddle. It's definitely someone else's footprints leading to the storeroom. Can't be Tyler, he's out at lunch. That's a bit creepy. And then we're ready. So yeah, that is quite a lot done in this one evening. Hotspot to get rid of as well because I don't want it active now. But yeah, that has been a decent amount of stuff achieved, and a little bit longer than normal because it's nearly 10:30. It's been nearly 3 hours, my lord. Thanks as always for everybody who's on the live chat. Thanks very much to Purple, who was a new subscriber tonight from Twitch, and I believe is watching on Twitch. YouTube is where all my videos are at, all of the tutorials and stuff, and all of these live streams. Usually between quarter of an hour and half an hour after the live stream, they get committed to the live streams playlist, so they're kind of there to watch back, and that's where I get most of my viewings of the live streams, to be honest. Which I hugely appreciate. So yeah, I'm really grateful for people coming along live, but if you are watching back some of them, because they're really long, these things, then please do leave a comment on them, ask me questions. Hopefully users like Mike2410, who was on tonight, asked a question on a previous video from ages ago, and those things I'll answer when I get to them. So yeah, please do go and have a look through the other stuff, leave some comments, ask some questions, gives me some stuff to show and talk about on the next stream. Next weekend is Easter weekend here in the UK, and I'm going to be away, I think, over in West Cumbria, over the other side of the country. So I probably won't be doing a live stream next Sunday, but potentially during the week this week, I might get the opportunity to do one evening this week, but I will pop a message up on YouTube. If you're following on YouTube and you've subscribed and hit the bell and all that good stuff, then it should give you a notification when I put a post on the community thing to say when I'm going to be live streaming again. So thank you very much. Thanks to new users. Great to see you along, Mike, on the live for the first time. All the people who support the channel, thanks very much. And the regulars, of course, Chris, Bambites Games, and Kyle, Remote Lime, who are here most times I'm on, which is fantastic. Good luck with all your own games. Hope they're all going very well. Maybe we can do some show-offs of them, stick some things on, some links for other people to look at them as well. Right, thanks very much. Good evening, good night, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye.